Hey everybody, and welcome back to Fat Guy Productions and our Jupiter 2 model build. This is part 2, where we're going to be picking up with the interior build section. Now, in addition to releasing this video in 2 parts, when I release part 2, I'm also going to release a single uncut version of the entire build, start to finish. So if you want to watch it that way, you'll be able to do it. But in the meantime, let's shut up and get building this model. With the floor installed and finally glued down, I can start putting in the interior. The kit instructions lay out a very specific path for installing the interior walls. Follow them. Also, most of the wall components are not cemented in yet. They're just placed in their spots. This way, later, we can put the ceiling on top of everything. This will help alignment, and then we can glue everything down. Read the instructions here very carefully. All of the interior will revolve around the command console, so that goes in first and is glued down. I worked my way around the deck, following the directions carefully, installing all the sub-assembled walls. At this point, everything is going well and the fit is good. With the final walls in place, as I mentioned, we can now dry install the ceiling to check our alignment and make sure everything is looking good. Then we can go around and cement all the walls in place. Not the ceiling yet. It feels really great to start seeing a look inside of the ship as a whole instead of just a zillion sub-assemblies. Take your time, move methodically, and glue everything down. Use clamps and weights as need be. Once everything is glued in place, now we can remove the ceiling and take the opportunity to apply any more glue we need for spots that still need a little bit of help. This was also a great place to switch from the Tamiya thin cement and go to the fast drying Tamiya thin cement. It worked a lot better and helps lock things up while you're holding them in place. The lighting kit instructions have you build some stanchions out of some scrap sprue to mount the lights behind the freezing tube walls. This worked well. I made them early, tried not to make them too tall, and glued them in early so they would be nice and solid when I got to this point. Now I can just simply hot glue the light onto the stanchion and it'll light up beautifully behind the freezing tubes. After installing the lights behind the freezing tube walls, I can go ahead and put the red light in above the emergency panel. And now it's time for me to take a trip to the 7th level of hell and glue these stupid freezing tubes in. I first tried Tamiya thin cement, but I needed more open time, so I ended up switching to thick CA glue here. It would have been better in the long run to cut off the locating posts on the tubes and just glued each tube down by eye. This whole process was super frustrating, to say the least. I wish I had this video to watch before this build. If I had known what I know now, I for sure would have glued these tubes in before gluing the floor down. Next up is a lighting test. This is a super exciting moment. Turn the switch on, everything is working perfectly, and it looks amazing. This is a very gratifying moment of the build. The lighting kit from Moebius is just so well done. It really looks amazing. After painting, building, and installing the astrogator, I can finally glue in the ceiling and then place the ceiling lights. The astrogator is cool looking, but the kit decal that goes around the clear dome is a train wreck. First of all, it's too short and it's impossible to wrap it neatly around the dome as it's fighting a compound curve of the dome. I ended up not using mine. I had it on there, it looked like hell. I pulled it off before it had a chance to dry on. Skip it if you want my advice. After building and installing the astrogator, I can finally glue the ceiling in place and then start installing the ceiling lights. The astrogator is very cool looking, but the kit decal that goes around the clear dome is a train wreck. It's too short, and it's impossible to wrap it neatly as it's fighting the compound curve of the dome. I didn't use mine because it looked like hell, so I ripped it off as soon as I applied it. Here's a great tip. The robot from the TV show Lost in Space was recreated by Johnny Lightning, and while it might not be the exact scale, it's close enough that it would look awesome inside your ship. I got mine late and had already glued my roof on when I realized this. Don't make that mistake. If you want to put a robot inside, order him from eBay early, get him and stick him inside. It will look really, really cool. Take this opportunity to get some pictures of all the details you put on the inside of the ship, especially if you plan to glue the lid on. I plan to glue mine on because, frankly, I didn't like the way it looked unglued. It didn't sit tight, and it just made the model look unfinished. So, if you are going to glue it down, take pictures. You didn't want to do all this work for nothing, did you? The final bit of lighting is gluing in the ceiling lights. Make sure you know which light goes to which hole, because some of these are a stretch for some of the wires. You can't run the wire across that opening. You have to take the long way and go around. So make sure the longest wires are traveling the furthest distance. I'm going to do a quick test fit of the upper hull just to make sure everything is going to fit okay. And now is the perfect time to talk more about how I made the upper hull look better. After I got done painting it with the rattle can, it still looked a bit mottled and splotchy. I took some fine polishing compound and a rag, and I rubbed out the entire paint with the polishing compound and buffed it off. This actually smoothed everything out very, very nicely and gave me a look that I was finally happy and satisfied with. So why did I finally make the decision to glue my upper hull down? Well, it was simple. It looked like crap not being glued down. It didn't sit nice and tight to the base. It looked unfinished. Yes, it would be nice to see more of the interior. Maybe the kit could have had a little lift-off lid in the very top of the upper hull, but it doesn't have that. So I decided that I would glue mine down. It's difficult to get it on properly. I didn't like the gaps that were presented when it wasn't glued down, so I'm going to glue mine down, and that's where I'm actually going to use Testors tube glue. It's the perfect glue for this project. So I have a plan. I know I'm going to glue the top down. All I need to do now is glue in the upper hull windows, and by the time I'm done gluing the top of the ship on, I can call this one done. It is now absolutely, unquestionably, one of my favorite things. And for those of you who are feeling sad because I hadn't mentioned gauzy in this video, allow me to fix that right here. I dipped the dome of the astrogator in gauzy, as well as the radar dome for the top of the ship. One side note here. There is an error in the instructions on these domes. They're numbered incorrectly, so either the instructions are wrong or the sprues are wrong. But when it calls for the part for the astrogator, it's actually calling for the other part. You can tell the difference because the astrogator does not have pins on it. The one for the roof has pins in it. So make sure you get it right. Well, there you have it. My Jupiter 2 build. I love it easily as much as I love my Enterprise. I hope you do too. Let's take a good look at it. Hey Siri, turn on the Jupiter 2. I've said for the longest time that my Moebius Enterprise is one of my favorite possessions, and this Jupiter 2 is immediately in the same category. I love this thing. As fun as the build was, it doesn't hold a candle to the joy of just looking at it and enjoying it. It is so awesome. I hope you loved this video, and if you decide to build one for yourself, I'd love to see the finished product. Please give this video a thumbs up, click subscribe, and be sure to click the bell so you'll be notified anytime I release a new video. If you have any questions or comments, and I'm sure there will be a lot of questions, ask them down below. That's more than enough. I'm going to split. I hope you have a great day filled with exploring new and exciting things. This is Paul from Fat Guy Productions. Until next time, be good.